This video takes a look at the skills and requirements of a 10-mark question that will appear across all three of your A-Level Sociology papers. Think about what it means to be asked to outline and explain anything. So for example, in general terms, if you're asked to outline what a fish looks like, this is the outline of a fish. Having provided your outline of what something looks like, in this case the fish, to explain it, you might provide a bit more detail, such as its eyes, its colour, its scales, its teeth, and so on. In your sociology exams, you will be asked to outline and explain two, and that could be two reasons, two ways, criticisms, factors, and so on. And that's going to be a question that appears on all three of your sociology papers. In the theory and methods section of paper 1 it appears once, it appears twice on paper 2 in section A and then again in section B, and also in paper 3 again as a theory and methods question. There are two types of 10-mark question in your sociology exam. The main difference is that one requires you to use the item and the second one has no item. We're going to be looking at the second type here, outline and explain 2. But we'll start by noting some of the similarities that might help navigate this question. The instructions from the front page of your exam paper tell you that questions carrying 10 marks or more should be answered in continuous prose. This means that you are required to write with full sentences and paragraphs. Therefore, no bullet points or lists here for this question. And that's going to be the case for any question worth 10 marks or questions worth more than 10 marks, 20 or 30. Given that we know this question type will appear on every paper, there are a few general rules that can be applied here. Firstly, with regards to time, it's worth 10 marks, therefore we should be spending 15 minutes answering it. There is no item, which makes it different to the other 10-mark question. As with every question on every paper though, make sure that you read the wording very carefully. The command is always going to be the same. The question will always begin with this phrase, outline and explain 2. Since the question will always be asking you to outline and explain 2 ways, reasons, criticisms, etc., it makes sense that your answer will be in the form of 2 paragraphs, which leads us to the next point. There is no need for a separate introduction or conclusion to this question. Indeed, the examiner's report states these are not necessary and are unlikely to gain additional marks, and they also take up time. The focus here really is on those 2 paragraphs. This is perhaps the most significant difference between this type of 10-mark question and the applying material from item A, analyse question. There is no item, so you have to think of a way, reason, disadvantage, advantage, problem and so on in response to the question asked and state this based on your sociological knowledge. This part is the same as you're doing in paragraphs and essays as well. You need to develop your stated point in response to the set question, and you need to be making reference to key terms, concepts, examples, findings from studies, and if necessary for the question asked, theories and theorists. Throughout your answer to this question, or for this question type, and this is going to be relevant for your essays as well, make sure that you show the examiner the relevance of what you are saying. This is sometimes referred to as a chain of reasoning, and it could mean you're using phrases such as this means that, or the relevance of this is. This is what analysis is really all about. I once heard of it as milking a concept for all it is worth, if that phrase helps you here. When you're using studies, then you need to show the examiner why the findings are helping you to answer the question. The last step is to select a second different point or statement from your sociological knowledge and develop your second paragraph. Again, it's being developed in the same ways though with regards to sociological concepts, studies, evidence, but be careful to make sure that it's suitably different from your first paragraph. But remember, it also still needs to be answering the question. If you wanted to break the timing down even further, then your 15 minutes for 2 paragraphs becomes 7.5 minutes for each one. As a final general rule then, and I've taken this quote directly from the examiner's report from AQA, centres, that is the colleges where you're taught your A-level in sociology, are reminded that there are no marks for evaluation for this question. If we look at the mark scheme, then there are some common factors that we can note for a top mark band answer, that is between 8 and 10 marks. Firstly, very good knowledge and understanding of 2, and again that could be your reasons, disadvantages and so on. In other words, they need to be accurate and they need a fair bit of detail. Your 2 points need to be developed using the chain of reasoning, hence the general rules I set out earlier. And these are recapped here. Remember, these are the general rules for answering this question type, and this question appears across all 3 papers. In the exam, when writing an answer to a 10-mark question, apply the general rules when noting your response. If you need to, press pause while you remind yourself of what those general rules are.